everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well and ready to dive into one of the biggest stories making waves in entertainment. And because today we're talking about Shaun Diddy Combmes, a man whose influence in music, business, and culture spans decades, and the incredibly strict probation terms that were recently released following his sentencing. From what's being reported publicly, these conditions aren't just ordinary probation terms. They're detailed, extensive, and, according to many online commentators, almost tougher than jail itself. That's right, we're talking about a level of oversight that covers his finances, his movements, his relationships, and even his digital devices. Now, before we go any further, let's be absolutely clear. This video is for commentary and analysis based on publicly available information, including court filings, reputable media coverage, and legal summaries. Nothing here is presented as a proven fact beyond what has been officially confirmed. All statements referring to specific actions or events are based on what's been reported or alleged by credible outlets. Everything you hear today should be taken as commentary and opinion, not as a claim of guilt or wrongdoing. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, let's unpack what's being said about these probation terms, why they're being described as some of the strictest we've seen, how they'll impact Diddy's future, and what this might mean for the larger conversation around accountability and fame. So let's start with the big picture. After serving his sentence, Shaun Diddy Combmes is set to spend the next several years under supervised probation. According to the information that's been made public, this isn't a light version of probation. It's structured, continuous, and meant to ensure full transparency in nearly every aspect of his life. The goal of probation in general, whether for celebrities or everyday people, is to give an opportunity for rehabilitation and reintegration into society while maintaining oversight. But when someone has a high profile, large financial operations, and a long history in the public eye, that oversight tends to be more comprehensive. And that's exactly what seems to be happening here. Judge Arun, who presided over the case, has reportedly approved terms that put Diddy under the direct and ongoing supervision of the probation department. They'll be watching everything from financial activity to personal conduct. And from a legal standpoint, this kind of structure is meant to minimize the risk of reoffending and to hold the individual accountable for maintaining lawful behavior. Let's begin with the financial side, because that's where many of the most detailed conditions lie. Based on what's been shared in court documents and confirmed through various outlets, Diddy must give his probation officers unrestricted access to his financial information. That means his bank accounts, business transactions, credit lines, and even investments are all open for review. If he wants to open a new account, take out a loan, make a major purchase, or invest in a project, he'll reportedly need prior approval. The reasoning behind that is simple: to ensure transparency and to prevent any financial misconduct, hidden payments, or unmonitored exchanges of money. For someone like Diddy, who spent decades overseeing large companies, negotiating deals, and managing brand partnerships, that rule might sound straightforward, but in the entertainment industry, it can be tricky. Networks are vast, and collaborators come from all backgrounds. This restriction effectively forces a full reassessment of his inner circle and professional relationships. Everyone he interacts with has to be above board, and that can change how business gets done. Additionally, all firearms are off limits, not just for Diddy himself, but for anyone living with him. If someone in his home legally owns a weapon, it must be removed. This is a standard condition in many probation cases, but in a celebrity household, it can mean added challenges, especially with security staff and family members. Let's talk about the length and scope of this probation period, because that's another part that's catching attention. According to official records, the probation is set to last for 5 years following his release. That's 5 years of regular reporting, testing, and constant accountability. For anyone, that's a long time. But for someone with global business interests, a public career, and media scrutiny, it becomes even more demanding. Every step has to be measured carefully. Every project, every travel plan, every financial move could be reviewed. Some media outlets and commentators have suggested that this level of oversight could feel overwhelming, even emotionally draining. Those claims are speculative, of course, but it's not hard to imagine the pressure. Probation of this kind is designed to test a person's discipline, not just their compliance. The message from the court seems clear. The probation is structured to ensure consistent behavior change, not temporary compliance. It's meant to keep him grounded, focused, and accountable over the long term. Here's something that doesn't always get discussed. Probation doesn't just affect the person under supervision. It affects everyone around them. In this case, anyone working with or for Diddy, accountants, assistants, business partners, could indirectly feel the impact, because when someone's finances and communications are monitored, those connected transactions can also come under review. That's how the system ensures transparency. It's not about punishing associates, but about maintaining a clear chain of accountability. So the ripple effect is real. From corporate meetings to personal friendships, everyone around him has to stay mindful of the new boundaries. And in some ways, that creates an entirely new dynamic, one where compliance becomes part of the culture. Now, stepping back from the specifics, let's talk about what this means on a larger scale. When high-profile cases like this happen, they spark bigger conversations about justice, privilege, and rehabilitation. Some people see strict probation as excessive, while others see it as a necessary step to ensure equality under the law. What Judge Arun appears to have done, based on what's publicly known, is craft a system that prioritizes accountability while still giving room for rehabilitation. The terms are firm, but they're not meant to be impossible. They set a structure that, if followed, could allow Diddy to rebuild his life and reputation responsibly. And that's an important point. Probation, at its core, isn't supposed to be purely punitive. It's meant to guide a person through a process of reform. For some, that process can lead to long-term growth. For others, it can be a struggle. But the opportunity is there. It's about how it's used. So in many ways, this situation isn't just about Diddy. It's about how the justice system treats public figures, how accountability is enforced, and how rehabilitation is measured. It's a real-time example of how power and fame don't place anyone above the law. So what happens next? That's the big question. These 5 years will likely determine how Diddy's legacy evolves. If he complies fully, attends his programs, and maintains transparency, he can eventually move forward with a clean record. That could open the door for new business ventures, philanthropic work, or even a quiet return to the industry in a more measured way. On the other hand, if he violates any conditions, the consequences could come fast. Probation officers have the authority to report non-compliance immediately, and courts tend to act quickly in such situations. That's why these years are so crucial. It's also worth remembering that Diddy has built his image on control, confidence, and independence. This new phase challenges all three. It's going to take humility, consistency, and cooperation, 3 things that can be difficult for anyone in the spotlight. At the end of the day, this situation highlights one universal truth: accountability doesn't discriminate. Whether you're a celebrity, a CEO, or an everyday citizen, the law applies equally. And when someone is given a second chance through probation, how they handle it defines who they become afterward. Judge Arun didn't just issue punishment, he issued structure. That structure might be restrictive, but it also provides a clear path forward. And for Diddy, this could be the test that shapes his next chapter. Will he use it to show growth and stability? Or will he resist the restrictions and risk repeating old patterns? Only time will tell. Either way, the world will be watching, not with malice, but with curiosity. Because stories like this remind us that fame doesn't erase responsibility, and consequences always follow choices. So what do you think? Do these probation terms seem fair? Are they too strict? Or exactly what's needed for real accountability? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear different perspectives. And once again, just to be clear, this entire video is commentary and opinion based on publicly available information, court documents, and news reports. All claims are alleged unless verified by official sources. If you found this video informative, please give it a like, subscribe for more updates on entertainment and news, and share it with someone who's following this story. Thanks so much for watching. Stay informed, stay objective, and I'll see you in the next one.